Hello and welcome to Record Sports Celtic podcast. My name is Ryan McDonald and today I'm joined by the one and only Michael Gannon. Mick, how are you doing, mate?
Not bad, sir. Not bad. How's things? I'm glad to be finally back from Pittodrie. It was back a nightmare between running the Hearts traffic from Tannadice and the roadworks at Perth. I thought I was never going to go home last night. I thought I was going to be trapped in my car overnight. It was a nightmare. But,
well, I should have actually said to you before we went live, you were in the press box and I was in the hospitality box. Nice wee freebie by Texo. But again, I was in driving duties, mate, as well. So I just about missed the Dundee traffic you're talking about as well. We stayed for about an hour after the game, and then we got there we passed Dundee just before the game finished. So
it was a bit of a ordeal going back. Just as well as I managed to stock up on Pittodrie pies during the day, so it was all right.
I was stocking up the prawn sandwiches.
Oh, aye, yeah, that's it. Like chicken wings and prawn sandwich brigades, very nice.
But obviously regular listeners will be wondering where Daniel Caw is. Well, as Keith Jackson will probably tell you in Hotline Live later on, the Selfish Bugger's has decided to take yet another holiday. So listeners are stuck with you and I today. But
you were too young, Ryan. But the word Judith Chalmers comes to my mind. It's probably too obscure a reference for your age group. But back in my day, Judith Chalmers did the holiday program in the 80s, and every week she was somewhere else. And that's wee Daniel. I think he's always he's traveling, isn't he? And he's jolly.
Holiday Dan. That's what I call him.
Me, Judith.
But the main aim today, Mick, is just to make sure we don't get the show cancelled.
Well, let's not make any promises. Like Icarus, I sometimes fly close to the sun.
I think we managed to get through the podcast in Portugal with a hangover, so we should be all right today.
Oh, no, I wasn't drinking in Portugal, as you know. I was looking after myself.
I don't think so. But obviously, let's start with the game yesterday. There's loads to dissect. Celtic obviously winning 2-0 at Aberdeen. We were both there. What did you make of the game, Mick? I felt that Aberdeen put Celtic under pressure maybe in the first 10-20 minutes, but otherwise, you know, there were chances were few and far between. I felt that Celtic didn't really get a second gear. It was pretty comfortable win in the end. Kasper Schmeichel really wasn't tested that much. And then up front, we'll maybe talk about this later on, but Daizen Maeda, it was another kind of difficult day at the office for him. But the two goals came from midfield. What did you think of the game?
Do you know, I said in Hotline Live, our show last night, I thought it was a big win. And I think it's a big win, but not for the reasons that maybe people might think. I thought it was a statement win, because not because I think the Celtic played particularly great, because I don't. I think the fact that they didn't play that great and still win so comfortably, that was a statement. This is like what I mean is that this is like Celtic's kind of baseline right now. I don't think Celtic are anywhere near firing all cylinders yet. I think they're fluent. They desperately need some new faces and fresh blood in there. But yet they've still got the quality and the power and ability to sweep aside teams like Aberdeen. I think you've got to say Aberdeen, I thought, were pretty poor. I mean, Aberdeen, I thought, like you say, I think first 25 minutes, I thought, I was interested to see how they're going to line up. I thought we'll do the same as the cup final, the kind of the 5-4-1 or the 5-5-0, but pretty much was in the cup final. Really negative and trying to contain. It didn't know they went for at the back, and they were quite proactive in pressing, and I thought, and they actually did seem to unsettle Celtic a bit the first 25 minutes. I thought this is going to be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Before the goal, Celtic just about got control of it before the goal for 5 minutes. You can start to see a head of steam building up. The goal was superb. I mean, Tierney do what Tierney does. Ball on the plate. I thought the finish for Negrin was terrific. Really good finish. And you could actually see the jam getting taken out of the Aberdeen Donuts. I mean, you could see them deflating. It was almost like they kind of had a bit of belief to go and play Celtic on the front foot, and it just eroded in front of you. And the atmosphere went flat. It was almost like they expected to say, well, that's it, done. And at that point, I never really thought there was any danger of Aberdeen coming back at the game after that. They were disappointing in terms of a challenge. I thought that they were so blunt up front. I mean, I think Celtic's back four have been really quite good, and goalkeeper as well. But I don't think they were tested particularly much against Aberdeen. In terms of form,
you'd have heard it as well, Mick. But the big Yengi up front, Aberdeen fans are really not having him, are they?
I mean, listen, I'm reluctant to join the line of folk who are putting the big man right. But I mean, oh dear. At one point, actually, his teammate, I can't remember when it was Kessling, had a shot and he actually blocked it. He actually got in the way of it. And I think you're actually, you get to the point where you're actually getting the way your teammates now, mate. I think at that point, I think he got hooked off about 60 seconds later. I think that was the match right, enough's enough. He's now getting the way, let alone problems. It was really not great.
There's a sarcastic cheer and he was subbed as well, which is never a great sign. You
know, went ahead as well, and you get a kind of sarcastic cheer and get cheered, you know, and you think, oh, this doesn't look too good. This guy's a long way back. Aberdeen, I think, listen, it's not an Aberdeen podcast, but I think Aberdeen will get big problems this year. I think they don't look any better than in most of the bottom 6 teams. They can forget about challenging Hibs, Hearts, and Dundee United for the top 3, 4, 5 places. I think they've got major issues unless there's serious work done in the next few weeks. And by the way, they've got an expensive squad in relative terms and not much for it. I don't think they're any better than Amarillo or Camargue and all that stuff. They were done in a fraction of the cross. I think that's 5 wins in 29 games across back to November in the league.
Yeah,
it just shows you the cup final was the cup final defeat. We beating Celtic at the cup final was, I mean, listen, I think Celtic were poor that day and Aberdeen were pretty organised, right? But I think it was an act of divinity, or like a divine intervention. It's almost like I think it was fated to be. Like Celtic have won so much, and it was almost like this is not your day. This is Aberdeen's day after 35 years. And the cosmic fates, I'm a very spiritualist person, as you know, right?
I can tell that, yeah.
the fates and the cosmos are constructed this day for them, because there's absolutely no evidence in the last 9 months to suggest that they were capable of doing that. And yet they pulled it off. And fair play, they enjoyed their day, but I think they've got problems coming down the pipeline because I don't think they're any good.
I mean, the thing is, it's 18 games now Celtic have visited Pittodrie without losing, which is some run. I think the last time they lost was under Ronnie Dyler.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Pittodrie traditionally has always been one of the trickiest venues for Celtic and Rangers to go to. But they seem to have really lost that fear factor, especially in Celtic visits. As I say, 18 games without defeat is some record up there.
They've got a terrible record against Celtic, which again it puts my cosmic theory to strengthens it even further in the cup final. I mean, Celtic's got 18 goals in 5 games against them before that cup final. I mean, it's still one of life's great mysteries how that happened. But listen, you've got to look at Aberdeen their day in the sun. I think we've endured enough to deserved it. I think, and it was their moment. I don't think that had any influence in the game on Sunday. I didn't see any kind of any spite about Celtic on Sunday. I didn't think they were that great. They weren't particularly fluent. I still think there's a few kind of issues that need to be looked at. And they're strong in terms of a lot of talk over summer has been what Celtic don't have, and I think people have forgotten what they do have. They do have Rio Hatate, they do have Kieran Tierney, they do have Daizen Maeda, who had an absolute shocker, by the way. We'll talk about that later on. They do have Carter Vickers, they do have Arthur Johnson, they do have players who are. I mean, Benjamin Negrin looks like a good signing. I mean, they've got plenty of players that are capable of winning games. They don't have options in the flanks and up front at the moment. That's what they don't have. But they have got a lot of quality. Rio Hatate, with I mean, absolute stunner as well. So they've got a lot of good players, and that shows. But you just think they could do. I mean, this European game around the corner is the one that you're looking at in a long season, because if there's a few injuries, they're going to have issues in terms of areas in the pitch. And there's no getting away from that. I just don't think they're fully firing yet. I think last season they started the season like a house on fire, blowing teams away that first couple months of the season. They're not. I don't think they're quite doing that yet. I think they're not quite at their fast and fluid best yet. I think that will take time and it'll take new personnel. We get back to the signing thing. They do need a wee injection of freshness in the squad, I think, as well.
Yeah.
But they're getting the job done. 2 wins from 2. Meanwhile, across the city at Rangers, they've tripped up twice in the league, having been given a fairly gentle opening to the campaign. And Celtic, and again, as I say, I go back to my point at the start, it was a big win because the day after Rangers slip up, I know it's early, but you're looking at to put down a marker and get up and running. People look at that game, Pittodrie, and think, well, Celtic didn't look great against St Mirren last week. Aberdeen should be a difficult test, and they made it look pretty easy, and I think that's commendable, really. So despite not firing all cylinders, I think they made it look like a bit of a stroll, and that means that their baseline is pretty high, higher than most, which means that if they do add to it, they'll be pretty formidable to stop.
Yeah, I noticed that you gave Ben Negrin your man of the match yesterday. £1.7 million. He looks a steal already, doesn't he? Obviously, you and I watched him in Portugal, and then obviously you watched him in Lake Como as well. It's hard not to make comparisons with Matt O'Reilly, isn't it? He's got the same kind of physique.
Yeah.
he's obviously prolific from midfield as well. It's been a good start for him, hasn't it?
It has. I was not trying to make the Matt Riley comparison in Italy, and Rodgers gave me. See, he asks a question, and he just looks at you and laughs at you. He's like, I'm not giving you that line. This is the new Matt Riley. I'm not giving you that. I kept trying to dig into this. Well, you know what I mean? Someone saying that he was a 1.5 and came a 25. He's like, I'm not selling for 25 just yet. But last night he looks a class act. I don't know what you. I thought last week against him, I thought he looked a wee bit nervous, which is. I might be wrong. You don't know what the guy's thinking. I thought he looked a wee bit overeager to try too much, and I thought he looked a wee bit nervy. That occasion was a wee bit of a kind of shock to the system.
He did actually. What he annoyed me was he kept gesturing to the crowd to try and kind of gear them up, and for me, that's always a sign that your own performance isn't up to scratch.
Do you know what? I agree with you, because you know what it's like seeing the boxing ring. See when boxers start getting a bit mouthy and trying to wind other guys up. You think that guy's struggling a wee bit. It's almost like they're trying to G themselves up a wee bit. I think he got a wee bit wrapped up in the day.
Understandable. 60,000 Flag Day, massive occasion, 60,000 fans. You know, I think over pre-season he's shown that he has got immense quality, and he obviously showed it with Rodgers as well. So I think for his home debut, might have been just slightly overawed, but he's definitely got bags of a potential ability and all the attributes to be a real top draw Celtic player, doesn't he?
Aye, but the good thing about Celtic fans is they don't jump to any conclusions or make snap judgments, do they?
Of course not. No snap judgments after the first kick of the ball.
He's not worth £1.70, and I mean 1.7 million. Get him out the door, hopeless. Aye, written off after day one. But I think that was the performance yesterday we'd seen in pre-season. That kind of gliding about the pitch, demanding the ball, finding wee pockets of space, and by the way, getting in the box. I think that's. I mean, people are asking the question, rightly so, what's the script now with Arnie Engels? Because he's on the bench. I mean, record Simon not started either game. And I think it's because of the kind of the lesser options that Celtic have got and the wide areas up front that Nygren brings more of a goal threat. I mean, he spends a lot of time in the penalty area. I mean, even last week, we were unlucky not to score last week against someone, a brilliant save from Big Shamal George, wasn't it? On the bar. He's in the penalty area all the time. His goal summed it up. He's in a great space. Brilliant finish. Almost kind of like you say, a wee bit like Matt Riley. Maybe a wee bit Tam Rogic even.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I don't know. Just to add to the hyperbole. So I just think he's in the team now because he's a good player, and I think he brings more of a goal threat. I think Engels is a different kind of player. He's got power. I think he's good in games. You need to be a bit more physical. But I think Nygren does bring more of a goal threat, and that's why he's in there just now. And at the moment, you can't see him getting left out because he's popping up in positions. So he scored a good goal. He's unlucky a couple of other chances. Scoofed one on the bar. His other foot. Not long after that, he set up Rio Tati for the second. Albeit it was a nice little shuffle from at that point. He peeled it wide and came in and teed him up, and he kind of played it down afterwards. But I think it was a good pass, a good area from a position he took up really well as well. So I think he does look like a really good prospect. For him, it's going to be about doing it consistently over a long period of time, coping with the pressure, having to win every week, coping with the pressure, not being allowed a bad game. Celtic a bad game, you're back to be a dud again. So I mean that's the way it is. So he's going to have to perform at a high level every single week, and that might be a wee bit of a culture shock because he's coming from a club that the demands aren't the same. So that is always a culture shock for players. I think it was a bit of a shock for Arnie Engels last year, having come from Germany and Augsburg. I think he admits himself that it was a bit of an eye opener. This demand that a draw is a disaster and a defeat is absolutely catastrophic, and a bad pass and you're an absolute dumpling. So I think it's a mental shift for these guys. So we need to see him over a longer period of time how he copes with that kind of pressure and expectation. But so far the signs are really good. I've been really impressed with him.
Yeah, and he seems to have struck up a really decent partnership in the midfield three anyway with Callum McGregor in the middle and Rio Tati on the left-hand side. They seem to, I don't know, it seems to be a really dynamic midfield three that's worked right away. Felt as if it clicked in Portugal, and obviously the Ajax game is one to forget, but against Al Ahly, in general over pre-season, I felt they clicked quite well. Rio Tati obviously scored a wonder goal off the underside of the bar at Pittodrie yesterday. It's probably an early contender for goal of the season, isn't it? I know we're only 2 games in, but you'd expect that one to be in the highlights reel towards the end of the season. It was an absolute screamer. And many people obviously thought he'd be off this summer, Mick, but Rodgers confirmed yesterday that there haven't been any offers. Obviously, he's under contract, I think, for another 3 years, but he's 27. If Celtic are going to cash in on him, it's probably now is when they're going to get their peak value, isn't it? Maybe next season, at last resort. But, if Hatate's happy to stay, then it'd be massive to keep him for another year, especially with obviously Champions League qualifiers looming, the playoff looming, and he just makes such a difference in that midfield, doesn't he? He takes passes that others won't. He's always trying to move the ball forward. He's always trying to drive the ball forward. I think Rodgers mentioned yesterday as well that he used to get frustrated at him in his early days, but because he can lose the ball, he is quite sloppy at times, but that's because he is always willing to take that risk, isn't he? He's always willing to try and pass it forward and unlock defence rather than take the easy pass. And I think that's what makes him kind of so special to Celtic and makes him stand out in the middle of the park. But yeah, he was. It was a brilliant strike from yesterday, wasn't it?
I think Brendan Rodgers. I think he's been quite
diplomatic,
kind with diplomatic. Yeah, because I think in the early days, I think he drove him up the wall. And I think he's very unstructured at times. The way he had to play, he's off the cuff. He tries the Hollywood balls. That's his stock and trade, and they don't always come off. And especially in Europe, that can put you under serious P. So I think it did. I think he's actually, rather than trying to ham it out of him, I think he's learned to live with it. I think he's learned to say, okay, this is what you do. This is what we're going to have to kind of accept.
Yeah.
I think that in Europe is a danger. I mean, there's times in Europe when it comes off, it looks fantastic. There's times when it causes all kinds of panic at the back. So there has to be some kind of balance. But I think he's a special kind of player.
Yeah.
I mean, in an ideal world, Celtic. I mean, it depends on the market value. And that's the thing about sales. I mean, you think now he's done his 3.5 years at Celtic. He's 27. And if the model's working the way it should work, and it should be getting sold, but you can't sell him for 5, 6, 7, 8 million quid. You need to sell him for 25 million quid. I don't know if that's going to come in now, because, and it's partly because of what makes him so good is also the reason why I don't think that will come in, because it is that lack of structure and discipline that means that if you're a bottom half English Premier League team, you can't afford it. You can't afford to carry that risk. Celtic can carry that risk in Scotland because they're the top dog, and they can, even if they're losing a goal, it's no big deal really. They can go and get another 3 or 4. If you're a kind of, I don't know, I mean, if you're a kind of Crystal Palace, Everton, Bournemouth, these maybe not that in Bournemouth, but these the bottom half English Premier League teams, you can't have guys trying Hollywood passes, because the teams in that level will absolutely murder you.
Yeah.
So that takes out that. That's where you think that money would come from. Then you look at maybe Germany, Italy, perhaps, yes, but it need to be one of the top sides. So because I think the kind of player he is, he's got to play with a good team. So I'm wondering where the market is. Where to Celtic he's worth 25 million, but where's that 25 million going to come from? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I don't know what you think the value for Hatate is. I think if Celtic was to get a bid in the region of 15 to 17, round about what they got for Kuhn, and I think that would be money they'd have to take.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, is it his peak value right now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's more to come from him. I think it probably is tipping that point. So now would be the time. But and it is. And listen, Celtic that's the one part of the team that is insured. I mean, Celtic, I think, are a bit vulnerable right now in terms of, everybody keeps talking about incomings. Everyone's looking at the entrance door, waiting for the new arrivals to walk through it. Everyone's taking their eye off the exit door. The window's still open, means that Celtic are vulnerable. And who are the big assets? You're looking at Hatate, Maeda, Alistair Johnson. I think they're the ones. I think are the ones that the big assets you don't really want to lose.
Cameron Carter-Vickers I think he's untouchable as far as Celtic are concerned as well. I
agree, but I think he has got the injury issues might mean that you're not going to, again, the value. I'm not sure. He's where does he go? I don't know. I think he is. I think you're right. But yeah, so they're the kind of the assets right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And could you afford to sell Hatate? I don't think you want to, but I think you could, because you've got, listen, Celtic's bench in Pittodrie had Arnie Engels, 11 million quid, Paulo Bernardo, 4 million quid, Luke McCown, 1 million quid, and it'd been a smash hit last season. 3 guys couldn't get in the team, so they have got bodies in there. to cope if you do have to sell. If a bid did come in for him, I think the ideal world you don't sell him because he's too big. He's too big a player for them. But it's as an area of the pitch to have got insurance. Unlike if bids come in for Daizen Maeda, they've got a major problem. Major problem. So I think they need 2 wingers already, and if he goes, that's leaving Celtic with an almighty task to get the team back together again.
Yeah, he looked off the boil yesterday, didn't he? And there's rumours doing the rounds at the minute.
Again, you're doing a bit like Brendan. That's very, very tough a market. Very honking, man.
He did. He's. I mean, there's rumours doing the rounds as well that he fancies a move elsewhere. Whether you buy into that or not, I'm sure we'll find out more as the days and weeks progress. But yeah, it was almost flashes of the old Daizen Maeda. He dribbled the ball at the park a couple of times. He was through 1-on-1 again with the big meat off, and he slipped at he was about to pull the trigger. I don't know. Is his best position on the left-hand wing, or is it through the middle? Because he scored 33 goals last season. Yes, the first half of the season he played mainly in the wing, but he offers Celtic a different dimension up front through the middle. But my concern is that I just don't feel as if you can hang your hat on him to score week in, week out, especially when it is, I don't know what it is, but when he's through 1-on-1 or when there's an easier chance to score, I feel as if he passes it up more often than not. I feel as if Celtic need a proven goal scorer up there, and I'm not sure Daizen Maeda is the man that Rodgers should rely upon for the full season. I've heard people say, Celtic should maybe focus on getting a winger rather than a striker. They need both, essentially, don't they? They need both. And if Daizen, obviously, he's in the final 2 years of his contract as well. I asked him towards the end of last season if he was willing to extend his contract, or he held any contract talks. He kind of just ditched it and said he's focusing on finishing the season. The usual you hear from these guys, but I think he is one player that I don't think he's replaceable. I think if Celtic lose him, I mean, he sets the tone from the attack, doesn't he? He's unbelievable. He's probably a dream player for Brendan Rodgers in terms of pressing. Yeah. I think he's the most unique player in world football, to be honest. There's nobody that runs and has a work rate like he does. This is a complete and utter workhorse. Well, so if he was to leave, and if he's unhappy, then that leaves Celtic with a real problem, because if you're losing him, who have you got to come in for him? Yang, Marco Tilio. It just shows you that Celtic really need to get their finger out and get signings in, don't they? But losing Daizen Maeda would be unthinkable, especially at this stage. This is what I mean. I mean, listen. Let's be honest. They can't sell him just now. They can't. So whether he likes it or not, they can't sell him, because listen, they can't be suggesting to clubs that they can't sell Marco Tilio and Yang just now because they don't have replacements. Which is, I think, held hostage at the minute, aren't they? Which I think is an extraordinary situation to be in. If you're using that excuse that you can't sell them because they're not replacement, you certainly can't sell Daizen Maeda unless there's 2-3 wingers lined up. I mean, I think it's a precarious time, because he's been at the club 3.5 years, achieved a lot. Again, 27, 28, a young family, maybe thinking one big move in Europe before heading home. If I'm Daizen Maeda's camp, I'm saying, right, either this contract that Celtic put on the table has to be a blockbuster, or we need to think about something else here, because this is a time of your career. It's very important in terms of setting yourself up financially and all this kind of things. The real life stuff that we don't like talking about. We talk about guys scoring goals and getting sore knees. This is real life stuff. He's got a family to provide for. It's getting the clock ticking in terms of your career, whether you like it or not. So I think that is a crucial time for Daizen Maeda. Again, in an ideal world, Celtic will have done his 3.5 years and sold him this summer, put him up for sale, sold him for 25 million quid, and start it again. But again, the recruitment isn't working right now. These replacements that should have been lined up. The Kyogo replacement should be lined up in January. Should be one in, one out. Should be in first, then out, or vice versa. The Kuhn replacement should be lined up. Hasn't been lined up. So the Maeda replacement, I can't assume the Maeda replacement is lined up if they haven't got the Kuhn or the Kyogo replacement lined up. So unfortunately, they need to say to them, listen, you're going nowhere just now because we can't afford to sell you, which means the model grinds to a halt, which is the whole point of
of keeping things going and making and building the players up, getting successful, and selling them, and then doing it again. I think it's starting to kind of the gears are grinding with that process right now with Celtic.
Yeah, the thing is, Celtic leave it late in the window to bring in players. Who's to say that this is the thing? They're going to run the risk of bids coming in late in the window for their key players like Daizen Maeda, like Rio, and who's especially for Maeda, who's there to replace him? Nobody.
That's what I'm saying. The teammate thing. You know what? We could do a guy like Maeda who could play 3 roles and harass life at defenders. We could do that. And a lot of teams, 20 million quid is a drop in the ocean. And if it comes to it, it's going to that's going to be an issue for Celtic. I think the next 2 weeks. We need to keep an eye on that one. I also think, listen, I'm basing it on pretty much the first 2 games of the season, so it's probably early to judge it. I'm just not sure the dynamic, the Tierney Maeda dynamic. I think a lot of time they're both occupying similar spaces. Tierney's the one that's been kind of playing in the inner channel, not quite inverted fully, like maybe. Listen. Here we go. When the guru talk here, right? I've got my nice chalkboard at the back.
Get the practice board out, mate. Get the practice board.
Right. Stop me if I get down that road, right? I just think that they're occupying similar space at times. I mean, they're both hugging that touchline. At one point, Daizen Maeda actually went out the pitch looking for a ball. He tried to give it an angle, and he was so wide he ended up on the touchline. And you're like, he ran out of grass basically. He was trying to get so wide because I think Tierney was in a different narrower channel, so he couldn't get any wider. So I just don't know. I mean, I think Tierney's set up the goal from that position, so he knows he can play. I think Tierney can play anywhere on the pitch, to be honest with you. So I think they will get it. But I'm starting to think. Also, this ties in with the Daizen Maeda kind of struggles right now. I think Maeda is a better option through the middle, but I think Daizen Maeda is more of a kind of Brendan Rodgers striker as well. Because I don't think Maeda is or was ever deemed to be Celtic's first choice striker. I think he was always going to be the Plan B guy, and as it transpires since January, the Plan B had to become Plan A, and I'm not sure that's the way that Rodgers wants to play. I think he would always want Maeda to be the Plan B guy, the kind of slightly more physical. You can be a bit more direct. Although I don't think he's a target man as such. But you get Maeda through there or Kyogo before him, harassing the defender, leading the press, being the first line of attack, and the pressing and the counter pressing and all that stuff, and that sets the whole tone. And you get that out the wide, but I think through the middle you also get the playing the shoulder, the breakneck pace in behind, attacking the front post. You get from Maeda and the goals. So I think he'd be a better option through the middle, but they can't play him through the middle because you don't have any wide men. Nobody to play it there. I mean, you end up, so you play Yang and Forrest. Yang, I mean, 2 years now, Celtic, can't see it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Marco Tellio, I mean, there's more chance of me getting the game outside right. I mean, so, by the way, he's been terrific, but you can't rely on him every week for 60 games a season, 90 minutes a week. You can't do it. It's not physically feasible. So they need, if I'm in that kind of strategy room, I'll be thinking I want Maeda through the middle, and I'll buy at least 2 new wingers and let them play through the middle. That maybe save my striker, but you definitely need two new wingers, and they've got. So I think there's issues. It's a bit of a Rubik's cube just now for Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think definitely 2 new wingers. I can see a permanent player coming in, and I think because Jota is going to be sidelined, to be honest, I don't think you're going to see the best of Jota for the rest of this season.
No, but by the way, you've got to remember, he did a season out in Saudi, 6 months out, pretty much at the game in France. He's played for 2 months and then get injured, and he's been another year out. So you're going to a guy who's pretty much 3 years without playing any football.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't be banking and seeing him hitting a ball properly until next season.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I think that this is how I think the window's going to plan out. I think that they'll buy in a winger, they'll get a lone winger in towards maybe a deadline day signing, and they'll get a striker in. They also need a left back as well now. Obviously, Kieran Tierney was thrown up everywhere at half time, but Arsenal fans might have been spewing watching the game yesterday, knowing that they let this guy go for nothing, because it was another top performance, and it was a brilliant cross for the opener, as we've already discussed. But On that inverted fullbacks role, it's interesting because I actually spoke.
I'll get my blackboard out here. Hang on, I get my whiteboard behind me.
I'm not a tactical geek or mastermind by any matter of means, but it was interesting because I did speak to Alistair Johnson about it last week at Lennoxtown, and he was joking that him and Kieran Tierney were tossing a coin to see who would play inverted. But they said they would work it out one way or another, and he thinks there's a world where both of them can basically play as an overlapping fullback, which is obviously that's what they are. Greg Taylor's left a massive void at left back in terms of being an inverted specialist. It's a role that not many people can play. Domestically, Greg Taylor was the master at it. In Europe, yes, he was vulnerable, but domestically, there can be no doubt that he was excellent at it. But it's just going to it'll be interesting. And I did notice that yesterday as well, with both Kieran Tierney and Daizen Maeda almost playing in the last line. I think Daizen was out in the left, as you say, hugging almost out of the grass. Was Tierney?
One point he was halfway up the Tawdry stand. So
it is interesting to see how that's going to work. If it is going to be a shift in tactics, if we are going to see an inverted fullback, or if we're going to see an inverted fullback role phased out by Celtic, at least domestically. But it is something I don't know if that would change in Europe, if they would prefer to load the midfield and get more players in there. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but certainly on the first two games, it doesn't look like they're playing inverted at all. On Adam Maeda as well, I think that yesterday it was another frustrating day at the office for him. I think Rodgers said that he needs competition to get the best out of him, but I'm not buying into that at all. At £9 million, you expect a lot more. Once again, the ball was just bouncing off him at times, and I don't know what it is. He's just so frustrating to watch at times. Obviously, we spoke to him during the summer, Mick, and he was confident he could be a 30-goal striker. You look at that, he scored 20 goals last season. Most of it was from the bench. So you look at it and say, yeah, possibly. But it shouldn't take another striker to come in to get the best out of you. And that's essentially what Rodgers said yesterday. This is his chance to stake his claim to be the number one striker at Celtic, and he's simply not doing enough. And I don't know if it's whether it's through a lack of trying, a lack of effort. I'm not really sure about that. But it's just, like you say, I don't think he was ever really brought in to be the number one striker. And now he's got the jersey at the minute. He's not. I don't think he's taking his chance with both hands, which he should be doing. He just looked out of sorts yesterday again. Nothing really fell for him. And his hold-up play is what I think will frustrate people the most. He seems incapable of holding the ball, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's struggling, the big fella. I mean, he's such a nice, likeable big chap as well.
He is. He's a cracking guy.
Maybe too nice. I think some accusation. I think it's fair. He's just not imposing him, getting himself in games enough. Like I say, he's getting the ball on his feet. His first touch hasn't been that great. He's having to chase the second touch, but by having to chase it 15 yards, run it back, he often wins it the second time, but then he's out of position to get back in. And it's not even stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people lump them together with Dessers across at Rangers, right? And I actually think they're different kinds of players, because unlike Dessers will put himself in positions and miss a lot of chances. Mm-hmm. He doesn't actually get into a position to get a lot of chances. I mean, strike rate is probably pretty good in terms of chances he actually gets. He doesn't miss that. I mean, he missed a few, was it last week? But I don't think he misses that many. But I think his movement isn't quite sharp enough to get those chances, and that's the problem. I mean, yesterday, he was pretty ineffectual yesterday. At one point, I think I seen Cal McGregor having a bit of a go at him as well, telling him to come and take the ball and spin and all that stuff. And he's struggling. He comes across. I'm thinking starting to see a pattern now that he's a streaky striker, isn't he? Yeah. So he can go through periods when he's banging them in regularly, and he's pretty reliable. But then he can go through long spells when it's not quite happening. And listen, credit to the guy. He doesn't seem to let it affect him too much. Last year he went, was it 11, 12, 13, 14 games without a goal, and he just kept going on it. Ended up scoring 2 at Aston Villa, albeit the young boys at Bayern, he kind of got in the way enough to cause that own goal, didn't he? That got him to help the progress in Champions League. He's got his attributes. I just think he's not grasping his chance really at this point in time.
I mean, like I say, I think he's a big game player. He scored 2 against Aston Villa. He's got a good record against Rangers. We all know about the Scottish Cup final goal. He scored 2 at Ibrox. So when he is on form, he can be a handful and he can score goals. But it's consistency. I think he's a confidence-based player as well. Like you say, very streaky. he's scoring, if he scores a goal, then I wouldn't be surprised to see him, go on a run of 5-6 games, scoring week in, week out. But if he doesn't get that goal, then it's just it's a confidence issue, I think.
Well, this is the dilemma, I think, for Friday. Obviously, the Falkirk Friday in the League Cup. See, I'm doing your job here. I'm taking you into the next section of the podcast here. See that?
Seamless.
It's a nice wee segue, I think they call it. But the big dilemma for Rodgers on Friday is, I mean, you've got to think he's got to give Maeda time to see what he can do, right? So you think this looks like a game for Maeda. But he needs Adam Maeda to get up and running and firing. Yeah. So you stick with him and try and get him his goal and hope that kicks off a wee hot streak that gets him through this period. Because, by the way, they're into a period now the games are coming thick and fast, and the big games are coming thick and fast.
Yep.
They need their main guys, fit, firing, and full of confidence. So does he give him a break, take him out the firing line, give Maeda some game time with a view to the European game next week, or does he play him and hope that this will be the spark? Yeah. I think that's a big dilemma. I think these are things that he's going to have to weigh up, and it's not an easy decision.
Yeah, looking ahead to Friday night under the disco lights at Parkhead, like you say, you'd expect to see some changes. I've got a kind of team here that I think could feature, and I'm not. What I'll say is before I start here, I'm not the Mo at Celtic. Right, I get the team bang on yesterday. I did think that James Forrest would come in for Yang, and that's what it was. That was the only change. So if this is true, I'm not the Mo. But what I think the team will be on Friday will be, I think Sinisalo is a good cup goalkeeper. He's got to be this season. So I think he'll come in. It's a toss of coin with Tierney or I think Scales at left back. Inamura is just, he's clear that he's out of the picture. He's not going to be the left back.
Was he in the bench on Sunday?
He wasn't even the bench, was he?
Yeah.
So I think it's clear that he's not going to be part of Rodgers' plans this year. And it'd be a major surprise to see him brought in from the cold against Falkirk, especially when he's not even in the last 2 matchday squads. So I think you're either going to see Tierney or Scales at left back. I think Trusty will come in at centre back. Carter Vickers, Johnston, Cal McGregor as usual leading the team out. I think Arnie Engels and Luke McCowan could come in, freshen up the midfield a little bit. I think Engels definitely needs some game time. McCowan obviously came off the bench and scored that winner last week, so there could be an opportunity for him to get some more minutes under his belt. And then I think you're going to have Daizen out on the left, and I think up front, again, a toss of the coin. Is it going to be Kenny? Is it going to be Maeda? Or is it going to be Adam Maeda for the points you just mentioned there? He really needs to score and get his season up and running. And then on the right-hand side, I'm going with Yang. I think James Forrest, again, was excellent yesterday. He just doesn't lose the ball. At 34 years old, I don't think he's even lost a yard of pace. He's just he's such a brilliant talent. But I think I don't know. I don't think I would expect to see him playing again on Friday. So I think you're looking at 6 or 7 changes there. We've kind of already touched upon it, but Arnie Engels on the bench, £11 million signing, club record signing. He faces a real battle to get into that starting 11. Yes, it's a long season, but you don't splash out, £11 million for a record signing to be sitting on the bench for too long, do you? So you'd expect Engels to come in there. And it raises another question as well. If Luke McCowan comes in, Paulo Bernardo, what's his future? At the minute, he looks as if he's 6th choice in the pecking order. Wow. So you wonder, they seem to be overloaded in the midfield, and I've got a sneaky suspicion. I don't know. I think Paulo Bernardo could potentially be on his way out this summer if the Celtic even get a loan offer. I don't think he can afford for his own career to stagnate on the bench or even in the stands. I don't know what you think about that, Mick.
I think he had a poor season last season. I know he had injuries during the middle. I think he had a poor season last season. I think his first season I thought he was really good, but I thought last season he wasn't great. Mm-hmm. I don't think there'll be changes on Friday night. Mm-hmm. I think it's too early in the season. It's only their 3rd competitive game. I think you look back historically, Rodgers plays strongest 11 the first 3, 4, 5 games. European game next week on Wednesday night. He needs his team fluent and firing. I don't think there'll be any tinkering. I've looked back, when you look at his first season, they get a cup draw, they got Motherwell, played the full team, no tinkering. He's only first in the door that summer, but they won 5-0. Next year they played Kelly, full team, same time of year, third or 4th game in, won 5-0. Played Partick Thistle the year after that, full team, no change, no tinkering. Again, his first season back, Camargue was a full, wasn't tinkering that day and they beat, but Camargue and put out the cup. It was a full team, albeit the team wasn't that great at that point in time.
Lagerbielke and Narocki at centre back. I seem to remember.
They've just been bought. So they were seen at that point as being the main guys at that point. I thought they were going to be. They wasn't tinkering with the team. And then last year, obviously, Hibs. I think Hibs wasn't at the cup. The first game last in the cup. Full team again. So I don't think at this stage of the season it's a time to be trying things. I mean, people go, oh, they need to have a look at. They need to give Bernardo some game time. They need to give Engels some game time. They need to get Maeda a game time. Look at his like, yeah, but you can get the cup and they've got a European game. So I don't think, and I don't know. I'm saying he's got a dilemma. I don't think he has got a dilemma actually. I think Rodgers will play his strongest 11 on Friday night. The team that he's pretty much going to play in the Wednesday in Europe, I think he'll play.
I think ordinarily would agreed with you, Mick, but because Celtic haven't had those playoffs in the recent seasons, the kind of seasons that you mentioned, I think, I don't know, it'd be too much of a gamble, for example, to play, I don't know, Tierney at left back, for example.
But Tierney's only played an hour in each game. Tierney needs to get up to 90 minutes. He needs minutes in his legs. I know that, but he needs minutes in his legs. I think
Tierney gets injured, who's coming in at left back?
But see if Tierney gets injured, Rodgers can go like that. You know, I need a left back up. I've not got one, so it's not on him. He can't. I mean, the fact that the club haven't given him what he needs to succeed in it, I think he can't hold that over the manager. I think he wants his strongest team to bounce at that European game. You look at European games previously. I mean, the Champions League games. He tends to go with his big guns the week before. He wants them up and running for that game. And I think he'll want these teams. I think he needs to either play himself into form. He needs Tierney to get 90 minutes under his belt at some point. Tierney, I think, I think Tierney would need to be kind of slightly different. I have to take that point, right? But I think Arthur Johnson needs 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Again, played really well yesterday, but we ran out of steam at the end. He was late and came back. Carter Vickers needs 90 minutes. Big time. Played well yesterday, but he's building his fitness. So there's too many guys that are not quite 100% yet. They need minutes in the pitch. So I just think, looking at his ways approached these games previously, ahead of European games as well, I think he'll want everybody on there. Listen, I think what he'll say is, go out there, go all guns blazing, get a 3-goal lead, then I'll make you change after an hour. That's different. That's what I could see happening. Then we'll look at Maeda, then we'll chuck in Amura, then we'll give Bernardo his first minutes of the season, then we'll put in one of the young guys or whatever. I think that could be the ploy. That's the way I think he'll approach it. I think he'll try and get the job done early and then try things out. But I think it'll be all guns blazing with the full first team at first.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the lineup will be.
I'm not paid £3 million a year to the manager, so
and I can tell you, I'm certainly not either. Before we wrap things up, Mick, what do you think the score will be? Give us a score prediction.
I think actually what I'm suggesting, I think that's what will transpire. I think Falkirk are a good side. They could do with some top level experience in that team. I think they're very much sticking with the. I know they brought in Scott Bain and Arfield came in late last season, but they're getting on a bit. Well, Arfield's on a bit as well. I just think Falkirk are vulnerable defensively. I think Celtic will be comfortable. I think they will get a couple up for half time, and then you will see Yamada and Amura, Johnny Kenny, these kind of guys. Bernardo's getting some game time in the second half. I think that's what will transpire. I think Celtic will steamroller Falkirk in the first half, and then they will have a bit of fun with it in the second half.
Yeah, I wonder what reception Scott Arfield's in for when he comes to Parkhead on Friday night.
Yeah, a bit interesting, I'm sure, but again, it's all about Celtic the way they start the game. They don't want to get bogged down in a tricky cup time. And again, Falkirk have got priorities in the league this year as well. So I think it's an interesting game, but I think it's all about Celtic getting the job done in the meantime and waiting for reinforcements. It's as it has been for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I recall Falkirk coming to Parkhead last season in a cup game, and it was one of the most entertaining games actually of the season. I think it was early on, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the next round, wasn't it? Was that not?
Yeah.
Aye, it was 5-2.
Yeah. No, they were
Hibs in the first round, and then it was 5-2 against Falkirk in the next one. It's a cracking game. Falkirk were great. Really surprisingly offensive. Good fun. Some good goals from both sides. I think it might be slightly different this time round. I think Falkirk are on a different frame of mind. They've had a bit of kind of bruising start to the league. Yeah, and they might be a bit more cautious, I think. But yeah, Celtic, I think they need to get the job done quite early, and then they can start thinking about Europe.
Yeah, no, I think Celtic will probably sail through to the next round. Hopefully, it'll be another entertaining game and Falkirk come out and give it a real go. It's a cup game, so you'd expect them to do so, especially with John McGlynn. Obviously, Scott Arfield, as mentioned, he'll be fired up and hoping to silence the crowd. But I think Celtic you'd expect Celtic to get the job done. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this week's episode. It's maybe dragged on a wee bit longer than we expected, but. It was good fun, Mick. Really enjoyed it. We've made it through the show, I think, without getting cancelled, so that's a plus.
Well, we don't know yet. We've maybe something in there. I don't know. Something could get back to bite us somewhere, no doubt.
The stream's not came to an abrupt end yet, so I'm taking that as a win.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks very much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. We'll be back next Monday, hopefully with Dan the Man in the hot seat. Until then, have a good week. Cheers.